All right, everybody, so welcome back to another episode of Colton Posey Fishing. Today we're going to be talking about one of my favorite subjects and one of my favorite times to fish, and that's early summer. And one of the big reasons that I really like to fish this time of year is you can catch the fish in the creeks, you can catch the fish on the main lake, and now you can do that year round, but I'm talking about consistently. You know, it's kind of like one of those things where I can show up and the fish are very, very aggressive, whether you fish the main lake or the creeks, but maybe you like fishing the main lake, but there's a lot of boat traffic, then you can move up in the creeks and stuff like that. But early summer fishing is one of the best times to be on the water. So either way, we're going to talk about it. I'm going to give you some baits and let you know exactly like what I look for during these times. So stay tuned. This is something you don't want to miss. All right, guys, so before we jump into anything, I just want to say if the video helps you at all and you like this kind of content, make sure to hit that like button. Also, subscribe. I got you covered when it comes to anything bass fishing. And comment down below if you ever have any questions, anything you want to add, or you just want to talk fishing. I love hearing from you guys. So we're obviously not on the water today. We're out in the yard, and there's a good reason for it. We've had a lot of stormy weather, and today is really no different. We'll have sunshine one minute and then thunder and lightning the next. A lot of tornado weather, a lot of severe thunderstorms. So just that kind of weather and cameras, they just don't mix really, really well. So this is a specific subject that, you know, I talk about every year, and I do it for a reason because I get a lot of questions from you guys all the time during the summer. Hey man, I'm having trouble finding them. I can't figure out what these fish bite. I can see them busting the top. I don't really know what to do. Can you help me out? Blah, blah, blah. And, you know, this is one of those times of years where I absolutely love to be on the water. Number one's because a good friend of mine, when we used to fish, and every time he wanted to go fishing, it was the middle of summer, middle of the day till evening. And you know, so whether you're planning on going in the morning, in the evening, middle of the day, it doesn't really matter. Mornings are a little bit easier to figure out than the rest of the day. But either way, the good thing is this time of year, you can just catch fish through the whole day. It's a great time to fish. All right, so let's start out early morning. There's a couple different things that I look for in the mornings. Early summer, you know, you've got that shad spawn going on. You've also got that heron spawn going on, and this is a great time to catch a ton of fish on top of the water. Now, this is one thing that a lot of people don't know or doesn't talk about, but when you go early in the morning, you see that shad spawn going on and stuff like that, you're catching the back end of it. You're catching the very last bit of it. The shad spawn and stuff typically takes place at night. But first thing in the morning, or especially if you get these days like today where there's a lot of overcast clouds, you can it kind of extends that shad spawn a little further out. So instead of catching those fish a specific way from, let's just say 6 a.m. to 7:30 a.m., you know, it may extend from 6 to 10, sometimes all the way to 12. They'll spawn, you know, most of the day, and that's for really, really good fishing. Now let's talk about being on a threadfin fishery. If I'm fishing a threadfin shad fishery, you've got to understand threadfin are typically super small, okay? So there's a couple different things that I do to mimic these. One of the biggest things is, especially from right now all the way to the end of fall, I'm going to use one specific top water when I'm targeting fish that are feeding on threadfin. That's the key, fish that are targeting threadfin shad, and that's going to be that Head and Spook Junior in the clear version, okay? And if you look, it's got that feather hook on it. Now, the biggest key to this is it's clear, okay? A lot of people's going to be running chrome top waters. They're going to be running, you know, translucent top waters and stuff like that. Me personally, I get a lot more bites and a lot bigger bites off that clear version simply because I don't think they see the bait very, very well at all. Typically, the fish that I catch will come off that back hook. It's like they target that back hook, and in return, it seems like I get a lot more bites. I've been in the boat with somebody, and you know, I'll be throwing this, they'll be throwing a top water that's the exact same, just a different color, and I'm getting bit consistently and they're not. And this seems to be the key. I've talked about it for years. It's a great, great technique. But one of the biggest things when you're using that, you know, top water walking bait, I want to use monofilament. I run 20-pound monofilament. That way I have that stretch, okay? Because I'm gonna be casting this bait a long ways. I'm trying to stay off the fish. Typically where I fish, it's so pressured, if the fish get close to the boat, they just won't bite it. They won't bite anything. They go down, they just kind of scatter out. They'll regroup later on, but for the time being, they scatter, and it's very, very difficult to even, you know, get a bite or anything like that. But let's say that I start throwing that top water specifically, and you know, maybe they're blowing up behind it or they're just not going after it. There is one little trick that I like to do, and the biggest one is going to be throwing a fluke. Okay, so I like throwing a Zoom Salty Super Fluke, but I do it a little different. Okay, which this is the smoke and shad color. I use this one a lot on threadfin fisheries just because it's got that small flake and stuff in it. It kind of looks like a little group of threadfin going through the water. But there's a different way that I rig it. If you haven't saw how I rig it on a treble hook, make sure to check that video out. I'll try to link it somewhere down in the description. But either way, I rigged that with a treble hook. I'm using that same medium moderate setup that I typically do with my flukes, but I've got that treble hook set up because a lot of times these fish will kind of just swipe at it. Now let's say you're fishing that blueback heron fishery, and you know, I kind of do something very, very similar. I'm just kind of going to swap up my top water bait. So one of my favorite ones to use on a heron lake is that Papa Walk by Thunderhawk. Now I don't suggest buying directly from Thunderhawk. They've been having issues with their shipping and stuff like that, so I suggest go to Tackle Warehouse. You can order the Papa Walker. They are expensive. They're about $16.99. It's the pretty much the most expensive thing Thunderhawk sells. But I've caught a ton of fish off the Papa Walk, and I have a lot more luck off of it than I do really any other top water bait on blueback heron fisheries. It's just got a different action. It'll walk, it'll kind of spit, it'll dive and come up, stuff like that. It does a couple different things. But one of the biggest things is when the water's choppy, this is not the way to go. Okay, when that water's choppy, the bait just doesn't act right. Okay, so typically if the water gets real choppy, I like going with that head and spook, but I go with the hard knock. Okay, it's got that one big rattle in it. It's got a little bit different sound. Seems to call the fish up from a lot deeper. But you know, maybe you're throwing those top water baits though and nothing's really going on. I do that same swap up. I will throw that Zoom Super Fluke on my heron lakes. Chrome is king. Okay, on heron lakes, the more chrome you got, the better. Okay, you're gonna catch a lot of fish off chrome baits. I go with that crazy chrome color. It's got that blue back on it, and then you know, it's just got a lot of silver flake in it. And you know, I rigged that the same way on that treble hook setup. You're making a long cast. You're trying to get on top of the fish as they come up, because this is one thing that people don't understand. Whether you're on a thread fin or a herring lake, you can chase them down with the trolling motor and stuff, but from my experience staying far away from them, I catch a lot more fish instead of trying to chase them. I kind of just watch, and then they'll come up, and then you can throw right on top of them and catch a lot of fish. But now the biggest thing is, this time of year, you're going to catch a ton of fish. You're going to catch a ton of fish, especially if you use these little tricks that I'm fixing to show you for the middle of the day and you know, for that evening also. Now for middle of the day, you've kind of got a couple different things you can do, and there's a couple different techniques that I like to use. And literally, when I say a couple, there's a couple, and I kind of just stick to that. One of the biggest things you can do is throw a spinnerbait. Okay, and I love throwing something with a lot of flash, a lot of chrome, double willow this time of year. Okay, we're climbing up in those mid 80 water temps, so you know, you're definitely want to, you know, go with that double chrome, or that all chrome, double willow, something you can move quickly. Okay, because the key is you don't want the fish to get a really good look at it. Right now you've got that grass coming off the bank, extending off the bank. So what I do typically with the spinnerbait, I'll look for that grass that's extended off the bank in a shade line, and I will throw that spinnerbait up in that shade line, up on top of that grass and stuff like that, and bring that bait out. Now there's two that I go with. One of the biggest ones is 3/8 ounce War Eagle, 1/4 ounce, but now I also throw the 1/4 ounce. Okay, so if the 3/8 ounce just seems to not be getting bit, I may not be getting any follows or anything like that, a lot of times I can swap to that 1/4 ounce, and I don't think it's something they see a lot, and I catch a lot more fish, a lot of big fish. If you watched last year, you saw exactly what I'm talking about when I talk about using that spinnerbait in the middle of the day. Now another thing that you can do is finesse them, which is typically not what I like to do, but it is what it is. Sometimes you just kind of have to, and one of the ways that I do that is with that dart head. Okay, so I'm throwing that dart head minnow, but I'm throwing, and that's a 5/16 ounce. I'm throwing it with that Zoom tiny fluke, okay? It's a super small fluke. It's a 3-inch fluke. And rigging it on that dart head, what happens is that bait, once it hits the water, it spirals down, okay? And you can pop that bait, and that bait will flutter up and then start spiraling down. 99% of the time, your bites is going to come on that spiral. Another thing you can do is cast to them and let that bait tight line, and it'll just fall back to the boat. That's another great way to catch fish on it. You can burn it and stop it where it'll fall and spiral as it darts. There's just tons of different ways to use it, and there's not a whole lot of people that use that to catch bass. Well, fortunately, I guess you could say. I almost said unfortunately, but you know, it's just a great way to catch a ton of fish, especially if you're in the middle of the day, you're struggling, it's hot, you know, whatever the case may be, you can catch a ton of fish that way. Now the big thing is you know, like evenings, okay? So that's actually the only time that I really don't care to fish is in the evenings, because it's getting dark and I'm getting close to having to leave. But one of the biggest things that you can do in the evenings is combine these baits, okay? So combine them. If I'm needing to go down a bank quickly and cover an area, that top water, 100%, I'm gonna use one of those top waters to cover that bank quickly, especially that shade line, because you can cover a ton more water and you're eliminating fish. This is what people don't understand about top water. It's a great way to eliminate inactive fish versus active fish, okay? Because an inactive fish is not gonna chase the top water down, but an active fish is going to chase the top water down. If you start getting 2 or 3 bites on that top water, then you're around a bunch of active fish. This is a great time to catch those fish. You can catch them on the top water. If they slow down, swap to the dart head, swap to the fluke, something like that. You know, just mix up your baits. This is just like a quick synopsis of what I use typically day to day during this time of year to catch a lot of fish. And every day is different, okay? So, you know, you may have different ways that you do it. If you do, please comment down below and let the community know, because I mean, I've got an array of stuff tied on. Like, I will swap stuff out throughout the day, but that is kind of like the gist of it. So, you know, it's not necessarily about what is he using or what is somebody using to catch fish, it's why they're doing it. So either way, guys, if the video helps you at all, make sure to hit that thumbs up button. It helps me out a ton. Subscribe down below. I greatly appreciate it. Comment down below if you have any questions, anything you want to add, or you just want to talk fishing. I love hearing from you guys. And don't forget, if you want to help support the channel, check out Vantage Tackle, Salty Captain. Discount codes are down in the description. You can get you some really cool stuff and save some money, and it's a great way to support the channel. If you want to further support the channel, you can become a member. It's $2 a month, and you can get these videos up to a week early, and you get prioritized comments. So what that means is when you comment, you're going to be one of the first ones to be answered. So, you know, either way, guys, I really appreciate it, and I'll see you next time.